Cannot see it. Mm.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're all doing good and hope you had a good night, good day, whatever it is over there where you stand. I am here with Nodrik, or charming guest as always, and we're gonna be reading to you the following of Flowers for Algernon. If you haven't seen yet the video, I will be posting a link to it as we record it. And yeah, please, if I hope, yeah. How are you doing, Nodrik? Now, doing good.
Oh, I'm fine, thank you.
That's good to know.
I found where we stopped as well.
Yeah. Was it the what we said, or we were wrong?
March 25.
That's what I
We,
figured. Yeah.
you were right.
Well, no, you were right, to be more honest.
Mm. High five? No,
High five. Boom.
no, yeah.
Boom.
We have to practice it more.
Yeah, I know. No, I know, I know. uh, it's okay, it's okay. Okay. Should I read March 25th, or would you like to read it?
Yeah, I will like to read it because it's super short. Like for the warming up sessions.
Okay,
March 25. That crazy TV kept me up all night. How can I sleep with something yelling crazy things all night in my ears? And the naughty pigs. Wow, I don't know what it says when I'm up, so uh, how am I going to know when I'm sleeping? I asked Bert about it, and he says it's okay. He says my brains are learning just before I got to sleep, and what will help me when Miss Kinyan starts my lessons at the testing center. The testing center isn't a hospital for animals like I thought before. It's a laboratory for science. I don't know what science is, except I'm helping with this experiment. Anyway, I don't know about that TV. I think it's crazy. If you can get smart when you going to sleep, why do people go to school? I don't think that thing will work. I used to watch The Late Show and The Late Show on TV all the time before I went to sleep, and it never made me smart. Mm. Maybe only certain movies make you smart. Maybe quiz shows.
Sorry. I need 1 second. I need
Okay,
one.
I will read March 26th.
Okay.
Or you will read it. Or you go for 1 second.
No, you can read March 26th. I'll be right back.
Okay, March 26th. How am I gonna work in the daytime if that thing keeps waking me up at night? In the middle of the night, I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep because he kept saying, "Remember, remember, remember." So I think I remembered something. I don't get remember exactly what, but it was about Miss Kunyan and the school where I learned about reading. And now I went there a long time ago. Once I asked Joe Carp how he learned to read and if I could learn to read too. He laughed, like he always done when I say something funny, and he says to me, "Charlie, why waste your time? They can't put any brains in where isn't known." But funny Birden heard me and she asked her cousin, who is a college student at Beekman, and she told me about the adult center for retarded people at the Beekman College. She wrote name down on a paper, and Frank laughed and said, "Don't go getting so educated that you won't talk to your old friends." I said, "Don't worry. I will always keep my old friends even if I can read and write." He was laughing, and Joe Carp was laughing, but Gimpy came and told them to get back to making rolls. They are all so good friends to me. After work, I walked over 6 blocks to the school and I was scared. I was so happy I was going to learn to read that I bought a newspaper to take home with me and read after I learned. Then I got there. It was a big long hall with lots of people. I got scared of saying something wrong to somebody. So I started to go home, but I don't know why. I turned around and went inside again. I waited until most everybody went away except some people going over by a big time clock, like the one we have at the bakery, and asked the lady if I could learn to read and write because I wanted to read all the things in the newspaper. And I showed it to her. She was Miss Kunyan. But I did not know it then. She said, "If you come back tomorrow and register, I will start to teach you and show you how to read. But you got to understand, it will take a long time, maybe years, to learn to read." I told her I did not know it. I did not know it took so long, but I wanted to learn anyway because I made believe a lot of times. I mean, I pretended to people I know how to read, but it ain't true, and I wanted to learn. She shook my hand and said, "Glad to meet you, Mr. Gordon. I will be your teacher. My name is Miss Manian." So that's where I went to learn. That's how I met Miss Kenya. Thinking and remembering is hard, and now I don't sleep so good anymore. That TV is too loud.
March 27th. Now that I'm starting to have those dreams and remembering Professor Nemmer says I got to go to therapy session with Dr. Strauss. He says therapy session is like when you feel bad, you talk to make it better. I told him I don't feel bad and I do plenty of talking all day. So why do I have to go to therapy? But he got sore and says I got to go anyway. What therapy is that I got to lay down on a couch and Dr. Strauss sits in a chair near me and I talk about anything that comes into my head. For a long time I didn't say nothing because I couldn't think of nothing to say. Then I told him about the bakery and the things they do there. But it's silly for me to go to his office and lay down on the couch to talk because I write it down in the progress report anyway, and he could read it. So today I brought the progress report with me and I told him he could just read it and I could take a nap on the couch. I was very tired because that TV kept me up all night, but he said no. It don't work that way. I got to talk, so I talked, but then I fell asleep on the couch anyway, right in the middle.
Oh,
Would you like me to read
mm.
the rest, or should you?
The March 28th, please read the March
Okay.
28th.
March 28th. I got a headache. It's not from that TV this time. Dr. Strauss showed me how to keep the TV turned low so now I can sleep. I don't hear a thing, and I still don't understand what it says. A few times I play it over in the morning to find out what I learned before I fell asleep and while I was sleeping, and I don't even know the words. Maybe just another language or something, but most times it sounds American. But it talks too fast. I asked Dr. Strauss, what good is it to get smart in my sleep if I want to be smart when I'm awake? He says, it's the same thing, and I have two minds. There is the subconscious and the conscious. That's how you spell it. And one don't tell the other what it's doing. They don't even talk to each other. That's why I dream. And boy, I have been having crazy dreams. Whoa! Ever since that night TV, the late, 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 late movie show, I forgot to ask Dr. Strauss if it was only me or everybody had two minds like that. I just looked up the word in the dictionary Dr. Strauss gave me. Subconscious, adjective, of the nature of mental operations, yet not present in the consciousness, as subconscious conflict of desires. There's more, but I still don't know what it means. This isn't very good dictionary for dumb people like me. Anyway, the headache is from the party. Joe Carp and Frank Riley invited me to go with them after work to Halloran's bar for some drink. I don't like to drink whiskey, but they said we will have lots of good time. We played games with me doing a dance on the bar with a lampshade on my head and everyone laughing. Then Joe Carp said I should show the girls how I mop out the toilet in the bakery, and he got me a mop. I showed them, and everyone laughed when I told that Mr. Donner said I was the best janitor and errand boy he ever had, because I like my job and do it good and never come late or miss a day except for my operation. I said Miss Kenyon always told me, Charlie, be proud of the work you do because you do your job good. Everybody laughed, and Frank said that Miss Kenyon must be some cracked up piece if she goes for Charlie. And Joe said, Hey Charlie, are you gonna making out with her? I said I didn't know what that means. They gave me loads of drinks, and Joe said, Charlie's a card when he's spotted. I think that means they like me. We have some good times, but I can't wait to be smart like my best friend Joe Carp and Frank Riley. I don't remember how the party was over, but they asked me to go around the corner to see if it was raining, and when I came back, there was no one there. Maybe they went to find me. I looked for them all over till it was late, but I got lost, and I felt bad at myself for getting lost because I bet Algernon could go up and down those streets 100 times and not get lost like I did. Then I don't remember so good, but Mrs. Flynn says a nice policeman brought me back home. That same night I dreamt about my mother and father, only I couldn't see her face. It was all white and she was blurry. I was crying because we were in a big department store and I was lost and I couldn't find them, and I ran up and down the rows around all the big counter of in the store. Then a man came and took me in a big room with benches and gave me a lollipop and told me a big boy like me shouldn't cry because my mother and father would come to find me. Anyway, that's the dream, and I got a headache and a big lump on my head and black and blue marks all over. Joe Carp says maybe I got rolled or the cop let me have it. I don't think policemen do things like that. But anyway, I don't think I'll drink whiskey anymore.
Very, Jesus. March 29th. I Algernon. I beat Algernon. I did not even know I beat him until Birch Selden told me. Then the second time I lost because I got so excited. But after that, I beat him 8 more times. I must be getting smart to beat a smart mouse like Algernon, but I don't feel smarter. I wanted to race some more, but Bert said that's enough for one day. He let me hold Algernon for a minute. Algernon is a nice mouse, soft like cotton. He blinks, and when he opens his eyes, there is black and pink on the egos. I asked him, can I feed him? Because I felt bad to beat him and I wanted to be nice and make friends. Bert said, no, Algernon is a very special mouse with an operation like mine. He was the first of all the animals to stay smart for so long. And he said that Algernon is so smart, he has to solve a problem with a law that changes every time he goes into it. So he has to learn something new to get his food. That made me sad because if he couldn't learn, he wouldn't be able to eat and he would be hungry. I don't think it's right to make you pass a test to eat. How would Bert like to have to pass a test every time he wants to eat? I think I'll be friends with Algernon anyway. It reminds me, Dr. Strauss says I should write down all my dreams and the things I think, so when I come to his office, I can tell him. I told him I don't know how to think yet, but he says he means more things like what I wrote about my mom and dad and about when I started school at Miss Kinnigan's or anything that happened before the operation is taken. And I wrote them in my progress report. I did not know I was thinking and remembering. Maybe that means something is happening to me. I don't feel different, but I'm so excited, I can say. Dr. Strauss gave
Nodrik? I think we have a little lag on here. I hope you guys are all good. Let's see if Nodrik comes back online. I'm gonna send her a little text and see if it works out. Uh, Nodrik, are you back?
Yeah, can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, even better than
So
before. Um, you
I
were,
will disconnect for a second.
yeah, actually, I know exactly where you were. You were at Dr. Strauss gave me some pink pill.
Okay,
Yeah, so
good.
I was following you.
Mhm.
I think you were there.
Yeah. Lots of sleep because that's most changes have. Okay. Dr. Strauss gave me some pink pills to make me sleep good. He says I got to get lots of sleep because that's when most of the changes happen in my brain. It must be true because Uncle Herman used to sleep in our house all the time when he was out of work on the old sofa in the parlor. He was fat and it was hard for him to get a job because he used to paint people's houses and he got very slow going up and down the ladder. When I once told my mom I wanted to be a painter like Uncle Herman, my sister Norma said, "Yeah, Charlie's going to be the artist of the family." And Dad slapped her face and told her not to be so goddamn nasty to her brother. I don't want a artist is I don't know what artist is, but if Norma got slapped for saying it, I guess it's not a nice thing. I always felt bad when Norma got slapped for being mean to me. When I get smart, I will go and visit her.
March 30th. Tonight, after work, Miss Kenyon came to the teaching room near the laboratory. She looked glad to see me, but nervous. She looks younger than I remember her. I told her I was trying very hard to be smart. She said, I have confidence in you, Charlie. The way you struggle so much to read and write better than all the others. I know you can do it. At worst, you will have it all for a little while, and you're doing something for other retarded people. We started to read a very hard book. I never read such a hard book before. It's called Robinson Crusoe. It's about a man who gets marooned on a deserted island. He's smart and figures out all kind of things so he can have a house and food, and he's a good swimmer. Only I feel sorry for him because he's all alone and he has no friend. But I think there must be somebody else on the island because there's a picture of him with his funny umbrella looking at footprints. I hope he gets a friend and not be so lonely.
You're looking at me to read March 31. Okay. March 31. Miss Kenyon teaches me how to spell better. She says, look at word and close your eyes and say it over and over again until you remember. I have lots of trouble with those that say, that you say through and enough and told that you don't say ew and thief. You got to say snuff and tough. That's how I used to write before I started to get smart. I mixed up, but Miss Kenyan says, don't worry, spelling is not supposed to make sense.
Progress Report 9, April 1st. Everybody in the bakery came to see me today where I started my new job working by the tough mixer. It happened like this. Oliver, who works on the mixer, quit yesterday. I used to help him out before bringing the bags of flour over for him to put in the mixer. Anyway, I didn't know that I knew how to work the mixer. It's very hard, and Oliver went to baker school for 1 year before he could learn how to be an assistant baker. But Joe Carbs is my friend. He said, Charlie, why don't you take over Oliver's job? Everybody on the floor came around and they were all laughing, and Frank Riley said, yes, Charlie, you've been here long enough. Go ahead. Gimpy ain't around and he won't know you tried it. I was scared because Gimpy is the head baker and he told me never to go near the mixer because I would get hurt. Everyone said, do it, except Fanny Burden, who said, stop, it's why don't you leave the poor man alone? Frank Riley said, shut up, Fanny. It's April Fool's Day, and if Charlie works on the mixer, he might fix it so good we will have a day off. I said I couldn't fix the machine, but I could work it because I've been watching Oliver ever since I got back. I worked the dough mixer and everybody was surprised, especially Frank Riley. Fanny Burden got excited because she said it took Oliver 2 years to learn how to make dough right and he went to baker school. Bernie Bate, who helps on the machine, said I did it faster than Oliver did it and better. Nobody laughed. When Gimpy came back and Fanny told him, he got sore at me for working on the mixer. But she said, watch him and see how he does it. They were playing him for an April Fool joke and he fooled them instead. Gimpy watched and I knew he was sore at me because he don't like when people don't do what he tells them, just like Professor Namer. But he saw how I worked the mixer and he scratched his head and said, I see it, but I don't believe it. Then he called Mr. Donner and told me to work it again so Mr. Donner would see it. I was scared. He was going to be angry and holler and at me, so after I was finished, I said, "Can I go back to my own job now?" I got to sweep out the front of the bakery behind the counter. Mr. Donner looked at me funny for a long time. Then he said, "This must be some kind of April Fool's joke. You guys are playing on me. What's the catch?" Gimpy said, "That's what I thought. It was some kind of gag." He limped all around the machine and he said to Mr. Donner, "I don't understand it either, but Charlie knows how to handle it, and I got to admit, he does a better job than Oliver." Everybody was crowded around and talking about it, and I got scared because they all looked at me funny and they were excited. Frank said, "I told you there is something peculiar lately about Charlie." And Joe Carp says, "Yeah, I know what do you mean." Mr. Donner said, "Everybody back to work," and he took me out to the front of the store with him. He said, "Charlie, I don't know how you done it, but it looks like you finally learned something. I want you to be careful and do the best you can do. You got yourself a new job with a $5 raise." I said I don't want a new job because I like to clean up and sweep and deliver and do things for my friends. But Donner said, "Never mind your friends. I need you for this job. I don't think much of a man who don't want to advance." I said, "What advance means?" He scratched his head and looked at me over his glasses. "Never mind that, Charlie. From now on, you work that mixer. That's advance." So now, instead of delivering packages and washing out the toilet and dumping the garbage, I'm the new mixer. That's advance. Tomorrow, I will tell Miss Kenyon. I think she will be happy, but I don't know why Frank and Joe are mad at me. I asked Fanny, and she said, "Never mind those fools. This is April Fool's Day, and the joke backfired and made them the fools instead of you." I asked Joe to tell me what was the joke that backfired, and he said, "Go jump in the lake." I guess they mad at me because I worked the machine, but they didn't get the day off like they thought. Does that mean I'm getting smarter?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Am I
you get
reading
2 days,
April?
huh? You get 2 days on that one because the April 3rd is 2 lines. You get 2 days.
April 3. Finished Robinson Crusoe. I want to I want to find out more about what happens to him, but Miss Kenyon says that's all there is. April 4. Miss Kenyon says I'm learning fast. She reads some of my progress reports and she look at me kind of funny. She says I am a fine person and I will show them all. I asked her why. She said, "Never mind, but I shouldn't feel bad if I find out that everybody isn't nice like I think." She said, "For a person who God gave so little to you, did more than a lot of people with brains they never even used." I said, "That all my friends are smart people and good. They like me and they never did anything that wasn't nice." Then she got something in her eye and she had to run out to the ladies' room. While I was sitting in the teaching room waiting for her, I was wondering about how Miss Kenyon was a nice lady like my mother used to be. I think I remember my mother told me to be good and always be friendly to people. She said But always be careful because some people don't understand and they might think you are trying to make trouble. That makes me remember when my mom had to go away and they put me to stay in Mrs. Leroy's house who lived next door. Mom went to the hospital. Dad said she wasn't sick or nothing, but she went to the hospital to bring me back a baby sister or a brother. I still don't know how they do that. I told them I want a baby brother to play with, and I don't know why they got me a sister instead. But she was nice like a doll, only she cried all the time. I never heard her on nothing. They put her in a crib in their room, and once I heard Dad say, "Don't worry, Charlie, wouldn't harm her." She was like a bundle, all pink and screaming sometimes that I could not sleep. And when I went to sleep, she woke me up in the nighttime. One time, when they were in the kitchen and I was in my bed, she was crying. I got up to pick her up and hold her to get quiet the way mom does. But then mom came in yelling and took her away from me. And she slapped me so hard I fell on the bed. Then she started screaming, "Don't you ever touch her again. You will hurt her. She's a baby. You got no business touching a baby." I did not know it then, but I guess I know it now. That she thought I was going to hurt the baby because I was too dumb to know what I was doing. Now that makes me feel bad because I would never hurt the baby. When I go to Dr. Strauss' office, I got to tell him about it.
April 6th. Today I learned the comma. This is a comma, a period with a tail. Miss Kenyon says it's important because it makes writing better. She said somebody could lose a lot of money if a comma isn't in the right place. I got some money that I saved from my job and what the foundation pays me, but not much, and I don't see how a comma keeps you from losing it. But she says everybody uses a comma, so I'll use them too. Should I read
Okay.
the next one? I don't mind. This one was pretty short.
Okay.
Ap- April 7th. I used the comma wrong. It's punctuation. Miss Kenyon told me to look up the long words in the dictionary to learn to spell them. I said, "What's the difference if you can read it anyway?" She said, "It's part of your education, so from now on I look up all the words. I'm not sure how to spell. It takes a long time to write that way, but I think I'm remembering more and more. Anyway, that's how come I got the word punctuation right. It's that way in the dictionary. Miss Kenyon says a period is a punctuation too, and there are loads of other marks to learn. I told her I thought she meant all the periods had to have tails and be called commas, but she said no. She said you got to mix them up. She showed me how to mix them up, and now I can mix up all kind of punctuation in my writing. There are loads of rules to learn, but I'm getting them in my head. One thing I like about Dear Miss Kenyon, that's the way it goes. In a business letter, if I ever go into business, is that she always gives me a reason. When I ask, she's a genius. I wish I could be smart like her. Punctuation is fun.
Mm,
Would you like
I
me to
feel.
do the next one or are you ready?
Oh, I can read it. No, I'm
Okay,
ready. Don't.
go for it.
It relates. What a dope I am. I didn't even understand what she was talking about. I read the grammar book last night and it explains the whole thing. Then I saw it was the same way as Miss Kenyon was trying to tell me, but I didn't get it. I got up in the middle of the night and the whole thing straightened out in my mind. Miss Kenyon said that the TV is working just before I fell asleep and during the night helped out. She said uh, I reached a plateau that's like the flat top of a hill. After I figured out how punctuation worked, I read over all my old progress reports from the beginning. Boy, did I have crazy spelling and punctuation. I told Miss Kenyon I ought to go over the pages and fix all the mistakes, but she said, no, Charlie. Professor Newman wants them just as they are. That's why he lets you keep them after they are uh, photo tasted to see your own progress. You're coming along fast, Charlie. That made me feel good. After the lesson, I went down and played with Algernon. We don't race anymore.
April 10th. I feel sick. Not like for a doctor, but inside my chest. It feels empty, like getting punched and a hard burn at the same time. I wasn't going to write about it, but I guess I got to because it's important. Today was the first day I ever stayed home from work on purpose. Last night, Joe Carp and Frank Riley invited me to a party. There were loads of girls, and Gimpy was there, and Ernie too. I remember how sick I got last time I drank too much, so I told Joe I didn't want to drink anything. He gave me a plain Coke instead. It tasted funny, but I thought it was just a bad taste in my mouth. We had a lot of fun for a while. Dance with Ellen, Joe said. She'll teach you the steps. Then he winked at her like he had something in his eyes. She said, why don't you leave him alone? He slapped me on the back. This is Charlie Gordon, my buddy, my pal. He's no ordinary guy. He's been promoted to working on the dough mixing machine. All I did was ask you to dance with him and give him a good time. What's wrong with that? He pushed me up close against her, so she danced with me. I fell 3 times, and I couldn't understand why because no one else was dancing besides Ellen and me. And all the time I was tripping because somebody's foot was always sticking out. They were all around in a circle watching and laughing at the way we were doing the steps. They laughed harder every time I fell, and I was laughing too because it was funny. But the last time it happened, I didn't laugh. I picked myself up and Joe pushed me down again. Then I saw the look on Joe's face and it gave me a funny feeling in my stomach. "He's a scream," one of the girls said. Everybody was laughing. "Oh, you were right, Frank," choked Helen. "He's a one-man sideshow." Then she said, "Here, Charlie, have a fruit." She gave me an apple, but when I bit it, it was fake. Then Frank started laughing and he said, "I told ya he'd eat it. Can you see? Can you imagine anyone dumb enough to eat wax fruit?" Joe said, "I ain't laughed so much since we sent him around the corner to see if it was raining that night we ditched him at Algernon." Then I saw a picture that I remembered in my mind when I was a kid and the children in the block let me play with them, hide and go seek, and I was it. After I counted up to 10 over and over on my finger, I went to look for the others. I kept looking until it got cold and dark and I had to go home. But I never found them, and I never knew why. What Frank said reminded me that was the same thing that happened at Halloran, and that was what Joe and the rest of them were doing, laughing at me. And the kids playing hide and go seek were playing tricks on me, and they were laughing at me too. The people at the party were a bunch of blurred faces, all looking down and laughing at me. "Look at him, his face is red. He's blushing. Charlie's blushing." "Hey, Ellen, what you do to Charlie? I never saw him act like this before." "Boy, Ellen sure got him worked up." I didn't know what to do or where to turn. Her rubbing up against me made me feel funny. Everyone was laughing at me, and all of a sudden, I felt naked. I wanted to hide myself so they wouldn't see. I ran out of the apartment. It was a large apartment house with loads of halls, and I couldn't find my way to the staircase. I forgot all about the elevator. Then, after I found the stairs and ran out into the street and walked for a long time before I went to my room. I never knew before that Joe and Frank and the others liked to have me around just to make fun of me. Now I know what they mean when they say to pull a Charlie's Gordon. I'm ashamed. And another thing, I dreamt about that girl, Ellen, dancing and rubbing up against me, and when I woke up, the sheets were wet and messy.
Well, now you got me in a pickle. Okay, April 13. Still didn't go back to work at the bakery. I told Miss Flynn, my landlady, to call and tell Mr. Donner I'm sick. Miss Flynn looks at me lately like she's scared of me. I think it's a good thing about finding out how everybody laughs at me. I thought about it a lot. It's because I'm so dumb and I don't even know when I'm doing something dumb. People think it's funny when a dumb person can do things the same way they can. Anyway, now I know I'm getting a little smarter every day. I know punctuation and I can spell good. I like to look up all the hard words in the dictionary and remember them. And I try to write these progress reports very carefully. But it's hard too. I'm reading a lot now, and Miss Ekinian says I read very fast. And I even understand a lot of the things I'm reading about, and they stay in my mind. There are times when I can close my eyes and think of a page, and it all comes back to me like a picture. But other things come into my head too. Sometimes I close my eyes and see a clear picture, like this morning, just after I woke up. I was laying in bed with my eyes open. It was like a big hole opened up in the walls of my mind, and I can just walk through. I think it's a far back, a long time ago when I first started working at Donner's Bakery. I see the street where the bakery is fuzzy at first, and then it gets patchy with some things so real they're right here, now in front of me, and other things stay blurred, and I'm not sure. A little old man with a baby carriage made into a push cart with a charcoal burner and the smell of roasting chestnuts and snow on the ground, and fellow skinny with wide eyes and a scared look on his face looking up at the store sign. What does it say? Blurred letters in a way that don't make sense. I know now that the sign says Donner's Bakery, but looking back in my memory at the sign, I can't read the words through his eyes. None of the signs make sense. I think that fellow with the scared look on his face is me. Bright neon lights, Christmas trees, and sidewalk pedals. People bundled in coats with collars up and scarves around their necks, but he has no clothes. His hands are cold, and he puts down a heavy bundle of brown paper bags. He is stopping to watch the little mechanical toys that the peddler winds up, the tumbling bear, the dog jumping, the seal spinning a ball on its nose, tumbling jumping, spinning. If he had all those toys for himself, he would be the happiest person in the world. He wants to ask the red faced peddler with his fingers sticking through the brown cotton gloves if he can hold the tumbling bear for a minute. But he is afraid. He picks up the bundle of paper bags and puts it on his shoulder. He is skinny, but he is strong from many years of hard work. Charlie, Charlie, fathead Barley. Children circle around him, laughing and teasing him like little dogs snapping at his feet. Charlie smiles at them. He would like to put down his bundle and play games with them, but when he thinks about it, the skin on his back twitches and he feels the way the older boys throw things at him. Coming back to the bakery, he sees some boys standing in the door of a dark hallway. Hey, look, there is Charlie. Hey, Charlie, what you got there? Want to shoot some crabs? Come here, we won't hurt ya. But there is something about the doorway, the dark hole, the lo- laughing that makes his skin twitch again. He tries to know what it is, but all he can remember is their dirt and piss all over his clothes, and Uncle Herman shouting when he came home, all covered with filth, and how Uncle Herman ran out with a hammer on his hand to find the boys who did that to him. Charlie backs away from the boys, laughing. in the hallway, drops a bundle, picks it up again, and runs the rest of the way to the bakery. What took you so long, Charlie? Shouts Gimpy from the doorway to the back of the bakery. Charlie pushes through the swinging doors to the back of the bakery and sets down the bundle on one of the skids. He leans against the wall, showing his hands into his pockets. He wishes he had his spinner. He likes it back here in the bakery where the floors are white, with floor whiter than the sooty walls and ceiling. The thick soles of his own high shoes are crusted with white, and there is white in the stitching and lace eyes and under his nails and in the cracked, chapped skin of his hands. He relaxes here, squatting against the wall, leaning back in the way that tilts his baseball cap with the word D forward over his eyes. He likes the smell of flour, sweet dough, bread and cakes, and rolls baking. The oven is crackling and makes him sleepy. Sweet, warm sleep. Suddenly, falling, twisting head, hitting against the wall, someone has kicked his legs out from under him. That's all I can remember. I can see it all clearly, but I don't know why it happened. It's like when I used to go to the movies.
I'm sorry, I'm listening to you. I'm just being silly in front of the cam. Okay.
Doing ASMR stuff.
I was serving myself a little bit of beer, so figured I'll share the bubbles.
Why is it green?
Oh,
Is it beer with mint?
sure. It's not uh, dishwashing soap.
Jesus.
It could be absinthe.
Sweet. I don't know what color absinthe is. Never drank it.
It can be green, blue, brown, black, dark purple.
I'm not.
Basically, all the psychedelic colors that you can picture.
I'm not a drinker.
Sorry, sorry.
I can. My only drink is super red. Ah, people have no color. Oh, okay.
Uh,
I will finish almost at the end by the
yeah,
day
no,
14.
I can see it. You've had a long chapter. Go for it. Don't worry.
Yeah. Sweet warm sleep. Suddenly, falling twisting head hit me. Okay. Mhm. Okay, sorry, I understand. That's all I can remember. I can see it all clearly, but I don't know why it happened. It's like when I used to go to the movies. The first time I ever understood because they went too fast, but after I saw the picture 3 or 4 times, I used to understand what they were saying. I've got to ask Dr. Strauss about it.
Damn, this book. It's intense. April 14. Dr. Strauss says the important thing is to keep recalling memories, like the one I had yesterday, and to write them down. And then, when I come into his office, we can talk about them. Dr. Strauss is a psychiatrist and a neurosurgeon. I didn't know that. I thought he was just a plain doctor. But when I went to his office this morning, he told me about how important it is for me to learn about myself so that I can understand my problems. I said I didn't have any problems. He laughed and then he got up from his chair and went to the window. The more intelligent you become, the more problems you'll have, Charlie. Your intellectual growth is going to outstrip your emotional growth, and I think you'll find that as you progress, there will be many things you'll want to talk to me about. I just want you to remember that this is the place for you to come when you need help. I still don't know what it's all about, but he said even if I don't understand my dreams or memories or why I have them, sometime in the future they all going to connect up and I learn more about myself. He said the important thing is to find out what those people in my memories are saying. It's all about me when I was a boy and I've got to remember what happened. I never knew about these things before. It's like if I get intelligent enough, I'll understand all the words in my mind and I'll know about those boys standing in the hallway and about my uncle Herman and my parents. But what he means is then I'm going to feel bad about it and all I might get sick in my mind. So I've got to come into his office twice a week now to talk about the things that bother me. We just sit there and I talk and Dr. Strauss listens. It's called therapy, and that means talking about things will make me feel better. I told him one of the things that bothers me is about women. Like dancing with that girl Ellen got me all excited. So we talked about it, and I got a funny feeling while I was talking. Cold and sweaty and a buzzing inside my head, and I thought I was going to throw up. Maybe because I always thought it was dirty and bad to talk about that. But Dr. Strauss said what happened to me after the party was a wet dream, and it's a natural thing that happens to boys. So even if I'm getting intelligent and learning a lot of new things, he thinks I'm still a boy about women. It's confusing, but I'm going to find out all about my life. Can I keep
Okay.
reading or well, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll give you the 15th and I'll take the 16th.
I know. Of course you are. Yeah. April 15th. I'm reading a lot these days, and almost everything is staying in my mind, besides history and geography and arithmetic. Miss Kenyan says I should start learning foreign languages. Professor Newmore gave me some more tapes to play while I sleep. I still don't know how the consciousness and unconsciousness mind works. Dr. Strauss says not to worry yet. He made me promise that when I start learning college subjects in a couple of weeks, I won't read any books on psychology mm, that is until he gives me permission. He says it will confuse me and to make me think about psychological theories instead of about my own ideas and feelings. But it's okay to read novels. This week I read Great Gatsby, An American Tragedy, and Look Homeward Angel. I never knew about men and women doing things like that.
April 16th. I feel a lot better today, but I'm still angry that all the time people were laughing and making fun of me. When I become intelligent the way Professor Nemmer says, with much more than twice my IQ of 70, then maybe people will like me and be my friends. I'm not sure what IQ is anyway. Professor Nemmer said it was something that measured how intelligent you are. Like a scale in the drugstore weighs pound. But Dr. Strauss had a big argument with him and said an IQ didn't weigh intelligence at all. He said an IQ showed how much intelligence you could get, like the numbers on the outside of a measuring cup. You still had to fill the cup up with the stuff. When I asked Bert Selden, who gives me my intelligence test and work with Algernon, he said that some people would say both of them were wrong, and according to the things he's been reading up on, the IQ measures a lot of different things, including some of the things you learned already, and it really isn't a good measurement of intelligence at all. So I still don't know what IQ is, and everybody says it's something different. Mine is about 100 now, and it's going to be over 150 soon. But they still have to fill me up with the stuff. I didn't want to say anything, but I don't see how, if they don't know what it is or where it is, how they know how much of it I've got. Professor Nemmer says I have to take a Rorschach test the day after tomorrow. I wonder what that is.
No, if you didn't remember.
Yeah.
Mhm. What about April 17th?
Should I read it? I would love to read it.
No, yeah, okay, but I think maybe we should stop afterwards.
Oh, yeah, sure. If you want, we can stop now, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
okay. No, I can take 1 hour editing.
No, of course. Well, I wish you all a good night, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. Say good night to everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye. And there we go. I'm gonna see. Gonna play a little bit of music before we stop this thing. If I can find this, there we go. Yeah, just making a little bit of sound before we leave.
Yeah.
Um, let's do this.
Play a bit more.
gentlemen, this will be it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed the stream and have a good night, all.